Okay, so we have a picture with an iPad. It's a little dull, so we're going to improve the saturation and the contrast, and it'll only take a few seconds using Corel PaintShop Pro X4. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is improve the saturation. We have a brush size of 334 and an opacity of 48, and we are starting with saturation. So I'm just going to brush over one time the green and the gold in the background where the sunset's coming through. I'm going to go over the trees, got a little hazy sunset over here, go over that, go over the red in my shirt, and then I would go over the brick. And we're not going to be giving this to anyone, so it doesn't have to be perfect. If we were, we'd want to make sure we used a smaller brush and really got in around their bodies nice and tight. Didn't get any extra saturation on their skin, but just for the purposes of this is okay. And then what I would do is go and change the warmth of the photo, which is under color balance under your effects browser, and double click that. I also want to put a little lightness over the subject and bring the focal point of the photo back on them. So I'm just using about almost 400 or 500 brush size and a 46 opacity, and lightening the path leading to them and the couple. And then I'm going to contrast this, which is again under effects browser, brightness and contrast levels, just like that. Might do it twice. Really wanted it to pop. I don't really like how saturated the brick got, so I'm going to use my right click and brush back over how bright that color is using the right click with the saturation, and take it just down slightly. And that is it. What we're going to do is what we just did in the last segment, but we're going to also remove this right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is increase the saturation. We have these beautiful red flowers on this tree, and we want to really make sure that that all pops, as well as the grass. Got a little bit of living grass left. I'm going to change my brush size to smaller, increase my opacity just slightly, and go over those red flowers just so that they really stand out from the green. And we don't have to do all of them, just enough that it's bringing in a little bit more of that color. Okay, so that's done. And the couple is just a slightly blown out in the white area, so I would go over to my lighten and darken and just darken them up slightly. One more time on the white. Don't want to do too much, we don't want them to look gray, and I'm a little overexposed over here as well, so I'm going to darken myself. Then to effects and effects browser, contrast. And that looks pretty good, aside from the little utility boxes over here. Our tree trunk is turned purple, so I'm going to do saturation again on a low opacity and take out a little bit of that purple. We don't want purple tree trunks, that's weird. Okay, next we're going to use our clone brush, which you would have in Photoshop as well, which is the common editing program. And we're going to find an area from which to clone. I'm going to start down here. It will not be perfect at first. Common error with cloning is cloning one area and then just bringing it down, and you see the repetition. So I like to clone from several different areas so that you're not seeing the same area repeated over and over again. It's a dead giveaway that something's been cloned. So when I'm cloning, see how this is the same. I would bring in something to break up that repetition, that pattern, because your eye notices it right away. So we're just going to go over this. Just takes a few seconds with practice. And again, I'm right clicking every area, and then I'm clicking on it with my left click to bring it in elsewhere. And you see repetition, repetition, repetition. So we want to break up that pattern for sure. There's some little leaf spots down here. You could bring that in just to break up that similar pattern. Okay. And if you wanted to, you could warm the image up under your effects, color balance, warm it up, and that's it. All done.